Kevin, so good to see you again. How are you? You had a nice restful evening, I hope.
Yes. Talking to you, obviously.
Well, after that, I hope you just got to relax at last night.
Went straight to bed.
Well, good for you. You guys have been working hard. And listen, as you saw from the screening last night, everybody loves Downton Abbey. I don't know there's anybody I know that doesn't love it, but that audience last night, especially when they see Mr. Mosley, because he really is a fan favorite. Did you ever realize when you started to do this series, Kevin, what it would become?
No. A very short answer. No, of course not. No, I think we knew that it was going to be successful simply because of the cast. We had Maggie Smith, and it was a British period drama, so we knew it had legs to survive what was originally planned as a 3-season project. So we knew that it would go that far, but we had very early indications when the first season started screening back home in Britain, because we get emails from our executive producer, and he was saying, "Well, the numbers are going up every week." And that's kind of unprecedented. So we knew we were onto a winner, but it was only when we were beginning the shoot for the second season that we began to appreciate the global reach, which was sort of extraordinary, because I can't think of another British show in my lifetime that's kind of had the success that Downton Abbey went on to have. And when you consider also that some of the young actors in this show, it was their very first job.
That's for sure. Exactly. And look at them all now.
I know, yeah.
And you know what I also love so much about the show is that every single character has such a great evolution. There really has been a great arc. What have you loved most about Mr. Mosley, the way he's kind of developed over the years?
Well, it's interesting because I think I was saying to somebody else earlier that it's been a very interesting evolution, because I think to start off with, I think Julian had a different idea about the character. I think he was meant to, he was a little sort of, he was more a figure of suspicion. He made moves on Anna when Mr. Bates was away, and and he sort of he tried to weasel his way out of being called up in the First World War by sort of having quiet words with the doctor. So it was the direction of the character looked as if it was going in a certain direction, and but then it changed when with the death of Matthew, and then not only did I have certainty about what the future held, professionally speaking, I wasn't sure if my role would continue in the show, but also Mr. Mosley as a character didn't really know what was going to happen to him, so there was a lot of uncertainty. And I think because of that, he went through quite a dark time, and I think that was when the audience perception of him began to change. I think.
It's so wonderful to see, especially the evolution of Barrow and all of these characters that had a little bit of evil in them, like Miss Baxter, whatever, and how it's all evolved. It's been lovely. And Julian, as you say, he's a genius. What's going on in that man's mind? How do you plug into that guy?
Well, it's extraordinary when you think about it, because normally a show of this size would have sort of, several writers, but he's done it all himself.
That's
and not only has he done this, but he's also done, the Gilded Age.
Yes.
And I don't know how he does it. And, but also, not only the fact that he's written them all himself, but he's managed to keep a company of 20-odd actors happy.
Exactly. And And like I was saying last night at the screening, what I feel as a fan watching it is it's become such a close-knit family, like the upstairs and the downstairs, and there's so much respect and love. Like they're not treated like servants. I mean, they're there for their jobs, and their jobs are really important, and they take them seriously, no question about it. But there's such a familial feeling about it. So as a fan, I love that because everybody kind of, you know, roots for each other. Who do you pal around with on the set? Who do you hang out with? Who do you love to spend time with?
Oh, I spent time with Jim Carter, who plays Mr. Castle. So we have a similar sense of humour. So we always draw towards one another whenever there's any downtime. Usually the bitch about the rest of the company.
Well, now that Imelda's there too, I mean, you know, she's running the pool. It's so family. I love it. I just love it. It's so much fun. Like I said, Mr. Mosley has a great arc in this movie. We find out, you know, he's a screenwriter. He's got ideas for Hollywood. You know, it's amazing. But you guys are shooting a film within a film. What is that like? How does that not get confusing when Hugh Dancy says cut or action, and Simon Curtis says cut or action?
Yeah, it took a little getting used to, but it was fascinating. It was really fascinating because, you know, you turn up on set and not only would there be the lights and the cameras that you're accustomed to, but there would be these vintage versions. So, you know, as I said to you last night, there was a camera there that shot the original Ben-Hur film, and there were also people there who brought all that equipment in, and they were really happy if we had questions about, oh, what is this? So they would sort of explain how, in that transition from silent movie to talkies, what kind of equipment was brought in and how they did it. And they would record the sound on what looked like a record player.
Extraordinary. And you were saying too that the camera was from Ben-Hur? Like that just blew my mind.
Yeah, the very first sort of like silent version of it was 1920 something or other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, as we said earlier, the show wouldn't be what it is. Well, you know, no show wouldn't be what it is without the fan base, of course. And I just wondered for you, whether it was on social media or just meeting a fan, is there any kind of fan that's really struck your heart, that's a story that stood out for you?
I try to avoid social media if possible.
I can't blame you.
But I'm not uncertain as to whether to sort of share the story with you or not. But a really weird thing happened only a couple of nights ago. We were stuck at an airport, and it was all a bit frantic trying to sort of get to Canada. And a lady kind of spotted me and said, "Can I tell you a story?" She recognized me. And I said, "Oh, well, actually, my plane's just been cancelled, and I've done." She said, "No, don't worry. She didn't want to hold me up." But she said, "Just to let you know that your character and the story that, you know, his evolution affected me. It sort of helped my marriage." And that kind of sort of stopped me in my tracks, because normally people are very gracious when they come up to me, but they don't often tell me stories like that. And I was really sort of thought a lot about that, and it's easy to forget the impact that these stories that we tell can have on people. You know, they can inspire them or what have you. So it was lovely to be reminded of you know, how people can take inspiration from watching these. You know, it's all fiction, it's all made up, we're just pretending, but nevertheless people can still take inspiration from what they see.
Absolutely, no question about it. So we love having you in Toronto, and you are going to be coming back in the winter months. You're going to be on our stage. You're going to be at the Royal Alex. Can you just give us a little taste of what's to come here in Toronto when we get you back?
It's a play called Pressure, and it's set on the eve of D-Day.
Wow.
So 1944, and it's about the pressures involved in, because I won't go into too much detail, but it's about about the days building up to D-Day and the decisions that have to be made. So it's a brilliant story, and I think it's an unknown story as well, which is fascinating.
Well, I look forward to seeing you back here in Toronto on the stage. I will be in the audience. Do not worry about that. And I always appreciate everything that you do. I love the movie. Now I've seen it twice and I loved it even more the second time. So people go see it more than once. Thank you so much for your time, Kevin. A pleasure meeting you. And we'll see you back in the new year. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.